Success and creativity in the internet age. Stop being a slave. Start being a human. By Chris Delamo of Red Pill Philosophy. It seems we all want success in life. It's what we're conditioned to desire by our parents. Get good grades, they tell us, and we'll love you, be proud, and we'll buy you that toy you've always wanted. In school, our entire sense of self-esteem depends on our ability to chase arbitrary, yes, arbitrary, letter grades with smiley faces written in the same red ink that F's are sometimes written in, scrawled sloppily across an assignment by an overworked teacher. The marketing, the media, and the overall cultural theme here in the West is simple and clear. Succeed, and you'll be accepted, loved, and happy. Of course, it seldom works out that way, and sadly, actually thankfully, that old model for success is crumbling before our eyes and can actually be the catalyst for your failure if you continue to follow this old model. The desire to be successful can cause us to scramble through our work and end up diluting our original, authentic, genuine creativity. The same authentic creativity, by the way, that brings us success in the first place. That, of course, is the Zen paradoxical irony. The more we desperately want to be successful, the more likely we are to dilute our authentic creative voices that bring success in the first place. The hungry don't get fed. But first, I think it's important to explain why focusing too much on success can inhibit your natural creative talents that bring success in the first place. You see, best-selling author and creator of one of the top marketing/business blogs in the world, Seth Godin, wrote prolifically in his book, The Icarus Deception, about how our outdated, dying industrial economy that dominated American life for the last 100 or so years is now being replaced by an entirely different economy. One that few people are aware of and much less prepared for. What is this new economy? Seth Godin calls it the connection economy, and it's one where art, raw humanity, and connection are the primary drivers and determinants of success. The old industrial age demanded the opposite of raw humanity. It wanted robots. Robots to man the assembly lines. Robots to obey orders. Robots to conform to corporate guidelines. And robots to never question the authority structures in place. But as human robots are more and more being replaced by actual robots, that is, machines that replace human workers, it is becoming clear that continuing to be a robot in an economy that can use real robots and pay them nothing will sooner than later make you the fledgling human standing in the ashes of the industrial age. Very irrelevant. But what is rising up in the wake of the industrial age? What is going to replace this vacuum that the industrial economy is being eviscerated into? Well, Seth Godin calls it the connection economy. And it's a place where human art, not just paintings, but really anything that involves being bold and true to yourself, is the primary commodity and determinant of success. Thus, where in the industrial age, conformity and obedience were the values that made you successful, now, rebellion and uniqueness are the values that boost you forward towards success. So now what? We've got a dying industrial age that has left us with an emotional addiction to using conformity and obedience to achieve success, but we have a new economy that's swallowing all that up quicker than we can adapt, all while asking you to stop caring about the same obedience and conformity that you're used to. I've found that the hardest part about making this transition is the balance point between wanting success and ignoring that want, so I can instead focus entirely on my creative, original vision. You see, what happens to me is that my desire to achieve success naturally gets in the way of my creative authenticity. The reason for that is that inherent in the desire for success is an emphasis on conformity instead of honoring your creative voice. When success is your priority, you're not so much interested in honoring your art. All you want are the byproducts that your art will bring you. You want the fame, the Twitter followers, the money, etc. But again, art doesn't work like a factory assembly line. Increasing efficiency, minimizing risk, and conforming to every desire of the consumer seldom brings success to a true artist. This might work in an industrial factory, but not for the artist. Again, by artist, I don't mean a painter necessarily. It might include a painter, but not necessarily. As Seth Godin puts it, art is a reference to any endeavor you take part in that involves sharing your creative work with the world and making a raw human connection with others, be it a small business, musical career, YouTube channel, etc. With art, especially in the coming connection economy, the primary determining factor of your success will most likely be your ability to do the opposite of what the industrial age demanded. Now, the connection economy demands, more than anything else, the following qualities in you. These include risks, vulnerability, authenticity, originality, unpredictability, deep truth. People want, they thirst for true humanity. The same humanity that was lost so many years ago as the industrial age took over and turned us into mindless robotic workers and consumers. The connection economy wants to reclaim the human spirit, the human soul that was smashed out of us for so long by corporate America and by political establishments like the IRS and public schooling. The internet has granted us an unparalleled level of accessibility, fluidity, and connectivity to each other. And that's the key. The internet has allowed humanity to reconnect with itself. The industrial age was an era of top-down authoritarianism, both from corporations and from government. It was an era of outsourcing our individual, localized human connections with our families, our friends, our neighbors, outsourcing those connections out to centralized institutions far, far away. We allowed the mainstream media, owned and operated by a handful of corporations, to dictate to 300 million Americans what was true and what was not true. We allowed government to usurp our wealth through taxation to fund oversized government programs that were always too generalized, too broadly imposed, and almost always too inefficient and unsustainable. We allowed corporations, along with their partners in the marketing firms, to dictate to the masses what should and should not be desired in order to channel consumers' money into the profit margins of America Incorporated. But all that is starting to crumble. The internet has torn down the old corporate fascist barriers that once isolated human beings from each other. Ever notice how the average American knows more about Kim Kardashian's life than about their own neighbors' lives? Dare I say it, than about their own family's life? Through television, the average American replaced real-world experiences with vicariously watching the world go by through a box in the living room. The staple of American fine living, a 70-inch high-definition television and a reclining sofa with embedded cup holders. Also, you could place your nice cold beer in there, a numbing alcoholic beverage to numb you from the misery of your repetitive existence. By allowing centralized television companies to dictate our realities, the industrial age managed to enslave more than just our bodies. They enslaved our minds, channeling our awareness of the world away from our individual localized experience and straining it through the television back to the central headquarters of the 5 or so TV companies that own all 900 plus channels on your TV guide. But again, the television Berlin Wall has been toppled by the internet. And of course, the internet is simply a reflection of something more deep, divine, and inspiring. The internet is a reflection of the human desire to reconnect with itself. Humanity is reconnecting with itself on a collective scale. And on an individual level, you are reconnecting with yourself. The self that you were born with but was torn away from you through culture and schooling. And with this new dawn of connectivity, the connection economy, as Seth Godin calls it, humans have found each other collectively and found themselves individually. There is now a sleeping giant on the verge of being awakened by the exploding connectivity of the internet. Once this awakening fully occurs, you will see the end of the industrial age and the full onset of the connection economy. But don't think you've got time to waste. The connection economy is already here. It's been here for a while, but hasn't fully taken over the old authoritarian paradigm. Which brings me back to my original point. The connection economy wants, it thirsts for a human connection. But human connections require risk, they require vulnerability, they require authenticity, they require a commitment to the deepest truths of reality found within each of us, and not found within the centralized institutions of the industrial age. Thus, to be successful in the connection economy is to be a human, not a robot, not a machine, whose sole purpose in life is a paycheck to be cashed in for green pieces of paper that can be used to buy more products that justify and feed the very same system you're enslaved to. No, the connection economy seeks to connect humanity to what truly matters to us. Elements like authenticity, vulnerability, risk-taking, paradigm shifts, awakenings, and understandings, quite simply, raw humanity, expressed in whatever artistic form you're passionate about, be it a restaurant, a farm, a music career, a YouTube channel, etc. But here's the problem. Number one, in the connection economy, your success is determined by your ability to honor your own individual, raw, authentic humanity. But, number two, if you want success too much, your desire for success will most probably cause you to sacrifice your own raw, authentic humanity in exchange for what you hope the audience likes, in the hopes you'll get success. This goes back to what I said at the start of this. This is the Zen paradox for you. The more you want to be successful, the more likely you're going to sacrifice your original authentic artistic vision in order to conform to what you think and hope your audience will like. Ironically, though, the last thing your audience wants is for you to conform to them. They don't want conformity anymore. They've had enough of it. Conformity was cool back in the industrial age, when being a blind, subservient robot meant a steady job and a nice paycheck to buy material objects that gave you a short-lived, superficial sense of fulfillment. Think Black Friday shopping madness. Humanity is tired of sacrificing its humanity, and the connection economy demands we no longer sacrifice who we are for what corporations and government have told us we should want. Fuck these motherfuckers. Fuck them all. And I can vouch for this. In my own experience, since reading Seth Godin's The Icarus Deception, which is a fantastic book I can't recommend enough, I have deliberately chosen to start ignoring success and instead focus on honoring my own original creative voice. The results have been amazing. For example, with my blog, Red Pill Philosophy, there was a time when I was stretching myself thin over an obsession with my subscriber count. I was so committed to increasing my subscriber count that most of my time and effort was spent in devising ways to keep raising the subscriber count. And guess what? The more I focused on raising that number, the slower the number of subscribers grew. Musingly, the other day I tweeted out to my followers the following, quote, "The quantum observer effect applies to my subscriber count. The more I watch it, the slower it grows. Turn away, and it goes up quicker." And I'm not exaggerating about this. It literally works every time. When I start to sacrifice my original creative art by focusing more on success and my subscriber count or my Twitter followers or whatever other metrics we use to measure success, the slower the subscriber count goes up. Then, when I stop thinking about my subscriber count and instead focus on honoring my own original creative talent, I'll check back on the subscriber count about 2 weeks later or so, and it shot up at a much higher rate than it usually does over a 2-week time span when I'm sitting there staring at the subscriber count, biting my nails, wanting it to go up. Of course, we don't need the quantum observer effect to explain this phenomenon. This all makes perfectly logical, rational sense when we consider the connection economy. The fact that my success increases more the less I worry about success is totally in alignment with the connection economy, and the fact that humanity, through the interconnectivity of the internet, now demands more than anything else raw, authentic human art. What does the future hold? I don't know. The connection economy is all about uncertainty. It's all about risk. It's all about not being able to predict everything. So I can't know what exactly the future holds. Before the onset of the radio, television, and mass media, people were forced to experience life locally and within the bounds of their individual awareness. This means connecting with your neighbors. If you're not watching TV all day, you're probably going to be like, well, what do I do now? Sitting alone, quiet in your house, you're probably going to get up, walk outside, and talk to somebody. So, the centralized mass media age has basically taken our awareness and our interests and our attention, absorbed it into a television screen that filters and feeds back to the corporate America where all your channels are owned by 5 corporations. But of course, as technology advanced and we could outsource our local awareness to other ambiguous parts of the world through our televisions, our experience of the world that was physically within our vicinity became diluted as we became more interested in the lives of celebrities and politicians. But now the internet has utilized these same technological changes to not only allow us to experience other parts of the world from the comfort of our computers, but even more importantly, to connect with the world. That connection has literally torn down the Berlin Wall of the industrial age and reawakened humanity to the simple yet empowering fact that it is alive, conscious, and free to live a life it cultivates for itself rather than a life cultivated for it. This is the connection economy. This is the future. Are you ready for it?